Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing top 5 list of best passives in Smite. Our last list covered the top 5 worst passives in Smite, and it's only fair that we also look at passives with the best potential. Remember that this list is solely my opinion, but if there's anything you don't agree with, feel free to voice your opinion down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. In this list, we're looking for passives that seemingly extend beyond just a small bonus that makes a god slightly more unique. Any passive that grants an extremely large bonus for simply existing or playing a major role in a god's kit is what we're looking for. If you don't see a passive in this list and you feel it belongs here, please let me know. Remember that I can only fit 5 of the top passives, and I've combed through 74 gods to make this happen. These gods are picked as of the latest patch of 3.7, even though 3.8 was just released. I understand that Susanoo was also released in that most recent patch, but we are not covering him for this list. I do apologize. I did not have the time to research that before the update actually happened. So without any more stalling, let's begin. Number 5. Hou Yi, Sun Touched. Hou Yi holds one of the strongest passive for hunters that prevents him from being critically hit for 3 seconds after taking a critical hit. That passive is so strong that the only anti-crit item in the game doesn't even compare. The helmet that stops critical damage works kind of backwards to Hou Yi's passive. When you would be critically hit, instead it turns that critical hit into a regular attack. This effect can only apply once every 6 seconds. In comparison to Hou Yi's passive, the item can only block 1 critical every 6 seconds, while Hou Yi's passive blocks an infinite amount for 3 seconds. Now, in our last video of worst passives comment section, a few people were actually hating up on Hou Yi's Sun Touched passive. They pretty much said how useless it was in the current meta. However, even with the chin size meta right now, I believe Hou Yi's passive is still one of the strongest passives, making him the anti-hunter. His kit alone is scary as hell, but since this is a list of passives, we're just looking at this passive, and this one alone just gives him that edge at boxing another hunter. In Season 2 Joust, which in Season 3 that's pretty much Duel, Hou Yi is the strongest hunter to play simply because he was given the ability to crit while you were not. If you ended up critting him, you couldn't do it again for 3 seconds. This means that he could be dealing the double damage that you couldn't for 3 seconds. And of course, looking at this passive for Conquest and other modes outside of Duel, it isn't the strongest, but being he was one of the most powerful gods, in part due to his passive, for Duel and Joust, he at least deserves to be on this list at number 5. Number 4. Anubis, Sorrow. Anubis joins the ranks with a shockingly powerful passive. Originally I'd looked at this passive and I didn't think I'd add it on this list until I took a deeper look, which brought me to believe that this had one of the potentials to be one of the strongest passives in the game. Essentially, Sorrow steals protections, which reduces your opponent's protections and grants you the protections you stole. Not only this, but you gain an additional 99% lifesteal, which means, and you have to remember this, it does not grant you lifesteal, but it increases the lifesteal you have by 99%. Essentially, you'll double your lifesteal. Then, you also get a 30% crowd control reduction. And I mean, this part is the most forgettable part about the passive, but goddamn, you get some insane stat boosts on Goobus. In battle, these numbers don't show through any fancy effects, but for sure you can notice it when Boobus is causing you all the sorrow after he just put you down with the long eye of the law. Ha. Puns. However, with all these stat increases you get from simply existing as the boobliest Goobus, there are still 3 more passives I deem more powerful. Number 3. Kali, Marked for Death. The scariest attack speed demon holds a passive that no one could possibly forget. All you have to know is if you're Kali's target, prepare to get dunked on. Against her target, she gains an insane 10% penetration plus an additional 1% per level. At max, that's an incredible 30% by just existing. That's pretty much a Titan's Bane. But wait, there's more. Act now and you can kill your opponent and score a whopping 80% health recovery. Did your ally take the kill? Then there's no problem because you'll still be granted 15% health bonus instead of the 80. But if you're not satisfied with that, how about an additional 30% gold bonus to the bounty on the kill? This passive alone makes the god I mean, if you think about it, Kali's kit just goes way too well and makes her a strong god in almost every situation. Without this passive, I don't think the god would be nearly as fierce. Kali remains as such a strong force in any mode of this game, and being a permaban for both duel and joust, and even a fierce competitor for conquest. Yet, this isn't even the most powerful passive. But let's be honest, there's not too much to say other than her target becomes screwed when Kali gets to just completely focus on them. In a duel situation, Kali's won the day as their target is always the opponent. In Joust, it's very easy to pick your target as you are always in closed spaces and it's easy for Kali to get in. The only thing that makes this passive less than the other two is the fact that it does require a target. So going into Conquest, Siege, or any other mode, you do only get to apply this against one opponent instead of the others. But the next two gods definitely deserve to be on the top of my list. Number 2, Scotty, Kaldir, the Winter Wolf. In one of our latest patches, Kaldir joined Smite as one hell of an assassin. His passive allows you to have a hunter that supports him in tower diving, ganks, and just demolish about anyone who stands in your path. Oh wait, sorry, I read that wrong. Sorry. I mean, welcome Scotty, the Ice Clamor equivalent of Smite. Essentially, Scotty's passive is Kaldir himself. The passive gives you the use of your 2 ability, which is sicking Kaldir on people, without even leveling that skill. Kaldir's stats derive from Scotty's, and Scotty's kit complements Kaldir. I was originally going to keep this lower on the list, but looking over what the passive is by itself, it's really stupid powerful. A lot of complaints of Scotty's power comes from Kaldir. Most people might even agree that you're just playing an AI who tags along with the Wolf God. Kaldir has caused many others and myself rage when he chases you down or body blocks your basics or dives the tower for you. Without anything additional from Scotty's kit to the passive, Kaldir remains a threat, holding on to 50% of Scotty's attack speed, 110% movement speed because really, he needed to be faster than Scotty, and 50% of her damage is his. All of that as a passive. You can't be serious. It's an extra god from the start of the game. This doesn't even include anything that grants him buffs from Scotty's abilities, additional abilities from Scotty's abilities, or even the invincibility from Scotty's abilities.
Oh, Kaldir, who's the best destroyer of gods? You are, yes you are, yes you are.
By the gods. There's still another powerful passive to go. And that's number 1, Chronos, Wheel of Time. Alright, so I know a lot of people might throw a fit when Kaldir didn't make number 1, but this one is a bit personal and you have to admit at some point you know this is why we ban Chronos from Duel. Wheel of Time may be tied to an ability, but when it's active, it makes Chronos into the beast we all know. From healing to increasing his power, he is able to utilize various sections of his Wheel of Time to fit the situation. Essentially, the Section 1 allows him to sustain longer with heals, Section 2 allows him to sustain longer by refunding his mana with casting abilities, Section 3 increases his magical power by 20%, and Section 4 increases his basic attack power from his magic power by an additional 35%. Of course, the use of this passive requires a bit of thought, but once you have it down, there isn't a single god who can stand in your way. Excluding Chronos' kit of stun and just having this kind of variety of bonuses at your fingertips lets you play for any situation. The Wheel of Time is also the reason why Chronos can essentially destroy any objectives without effort, demolish entire teams if they don't focus, and do pretty much anything he wants on the field cause hell, he's Chronos. It takes an entire team to pin him down and stop his rampage. And remember, this is still just a passive that gives Chronos the ability to become such a destructive force. In comparison to Kaldir, Kaldir stands a good chance against the Wheel of Time as a passive. However, the one factor that keeps the Wheel of Time in the number 1 spot is that it can't be controlled by the enemy. Kaldir suffers from being an existent being. He can be damaged, he can die, he can be rooted, pulled, stunned, slowed, you name it. He can't really get out of that control. However, Wheel of Time is active on a god who can. He has the capabilities to purify that control, and even escape with a whole kit of his own and refresh the passive to take place again. With that in mind, this is why I chose the Wheel of Time to be the best passive in Smite. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with the list? If not, what would you have placed on this top 5 list? Hell, give me your own top 5 passives down below. Don't forget to check my other top 5 lists out, links will be in the description, and I also appreciate all of you for watching. If you like this video, please leave me a like and let me know that my effort makes it worth these videos. Also, are there any lists you want to see come up next? Drop me a few suggestions down below as well, and I'll be sure to consider it in the next top 5 list I make. Until then, thank you all for watching, share, comment, and subscribe, and as always, good game!